Welcome to CBC Windsor News at 6. I'm Meg Roberts. Thanks so much for spending part of your evening with us tonight. Community members are gathering at Roseland Golf and Curling Club to give feedback on a development proposal announced last week. Plus, a local hockey player was facing the battle of her career off ice, but it's one she couldn't have won without her teammates. And there's a plan being pitched to expand and extend an outdoor art exhibit so you're able to stumble upon new framed works downtown Windsor. A public open house is going on right now at the Roseland Golf and Curling Club. It's the first time residents are able to provide feedback about a proposed condo complex that would replace the clubhouse on the property. That has come with some concerns. The CBC's Dale Molnar joins us live from the open house. Dale, what are you hearing from residents?
Well, Meg, there are a lot of them here. There's probably been 200 people in and out of this place since 4 o'clock. They were actually waiting at the door. And this is, of course, in the Ward 1 councillor's Fred Francis's ward. He's here tonight, and also so is the mayor and the rest of the councillors. He was kind of surprised when all these plans came forward at an in-camera meeting. He tried to move those to a public meeting. The curlers that I've talked to as well here before were kind of surprised about this as well. The mayor said last week that these plans did come from development ideas that the Roseland board put together about 4 years ago, but the plans themselves seem to come from the mayor directly. They were on his website earlier. And I talked to a few people here earlier to see what they think of the plans.
I think the concept is good. I know we need additional housing. The diagrams are impressive. My concerns are that is this the first step to losing the golf course? Because I'm an avid golfer and I don't want to see the golf course taken over. It's a heritage site.
I have a bit of an open mind towards it because what's here is disgusting, and it's been disgusting since the moment it opened. It's looked horrible. It was horrible to come in here, and so I'd like to see something different here. I'm just not sure if this is what should be here.
I'm kind of lukewarm about the whole thing.
Is it okay with you if they knock this down and build those then?
I'd rather they didn't, but it's kind of out of my hands.
My comment is the mayor a month ago said we couldn't have the $30 million from the federal government because of going to ruin our neighborhoods, and a month later he drops this on our neighborhood. So it's kind of a two-sided story there.
Okay, so the mayor has joined us right now, as you can see, so I'm going to ask him this question. So we just had a man just say on the air that you didn't want fourplexes dumped on people's neighborhoods. This guy doesn't want this dumped on his neighborhood. What do you say to that?
Well, listen, I think the difference between what the federal government was proposing and what we're proposing is the proposal from the federal government would have had none of this public consultation. They wanted fourplexes as of right. And so what we're doing is a public process where consultation is part of it, and including a rezoning that will require consultation moving forward. We want to hear the feedback, we want to hear the ideas, and make sure we get the developments done right.
Where did these plans come from? Because people were so surprised. Why weren't there more consultation before the plans were announced?
Well, you have to have something to present to the public. You can't just come with a whiteboard and say, hey, what do you think of a whiteboard? Mm-hmm. And so City Council in August of last year asked administration to have renderings prepared that can be shown to the public, and that's what this is all about. Food for thought. What do you think of these ideas? They may have completely different thoughts about the way the building should look, the way it should be integrated, the underground parking and some of the amenities. We want to hear that feedback, take it back, examine and see where there are themes, common themes, and then pivot to make sure that when we go out with an expression of interest, that we hit the mark on what the public wants to see here.
How much did it cost to put together those architectural drawings? Can you tell us about that?
You'd have to ask the administration. I didn't commission those.
Oh, you didn't commission them?
No, City Council asked administration to have renderings prepared, and administration followed council's direction.
Okay. What have you been hearing tonight from people?
Mixed opinions. So there are some who live across the street who have told me that they just don't want to see the change. They don't want to see housing. I've had people come here and say they love it. They would want to sell their house around the golf course and move in here so they don't have to cut grass anymore. So there's a variety of opinion, as there is with every single project that we undertake. Ultimately, council said, let's move forward with the housing development here and at multiple other sites, including Low, including the Polisher Street parking lot, including the Karen Avenue parking lot, amongst others, including Grace Hospital site. We're going to move forward, get the consultation and the feedback, and make sure that when we put the expression of interest out to the development community, that we've captured the essential themes that the public has raised to our attention.
Why is this important to you, this development here? Is it important to you?
Well, we have a housing crisis, and so there is room across the spectrum for a variety of housing projects, and there is room, of course, at the affordable level, but when you build a high-end condo like we're talking about building here at Roseland, there are people that are going to sell their homes to move into the condo, and then you're going to have the cascading effect in the real estate market. Ultimately, there will be affordable homes that get sold that others will move into, and so there is room for supply across the spectrum, and this is an important step as well.
Drew Dilkens, Mayor Windsor, thank you for joining us live here tonight.
Thanks very much.
It's the Mayor, Drew Dilkens, live here tonight at the Roseland Golf and Curling Club. And remember, as he mentioned, there are 3 other properties that the city wants to develop. WD Low, there's a Polisher Street parking lot, the Karen Avenue parking lot. This meeting is going on until 7. They've got all kinds of easels set up here with all the pictures that you can take a look at. And also there's an online survey that you can take, and it'll be on the city's website until March 24th. Meg?
Thanks so much for that, Dale. That is the CBC's Dale Molnar reporting live. A Windsor firefighter is still in hospital. That's after being injured at a fire at an apartment complex on Glengarry Avenue a month ago. Windsor Fire confirms a firefighter sustained a foot injury. His condition is unknown. The Ministry of Labour says it's investigating the incident. A spokesperson says the firefighter sustained injuries while using equipment. A ministry inspector attended the scene and an order was issued to Windsor Fire and Rescue. The ministry is offering no further details. They say they can't comment while the investigation is ongoing. Windsor Police conducted a traffic blitz at 2 of Windsor's busiest intersections today. Police were out this morning at Wyandotte and Crawford and Howard and Tecumseh. Police chose the locations because they say that's where they have noticed the most accidents occurring. They were out catching drivers committing infractions such as running red lights, making improper turns, and driving erratically. Police have yet to release results on charges or tickets. Windsor's council is looking at an ask to help freshen up artwork around the city. There are dozens of these frame reproductions up right now. It's part of an exhibit called Look Again. The pieces were first placed around the city in 2021. Now, Art Windsor Essex wants to extend the project.
There was community consultation as part of the process, and also putting them in BIAs. We made a very specific and deliberate decision to do that because we know what an important driver of economic activity art is. So yeah, we've gotten really good feedback, and they're still in excellent condition. And the other good news story is I'm here because we're changing some up and we're actually removing some. We're committed to keeping things fresh and keeping things contemporary.
Art Windsor Essex is asking City Council to waive permit fees for the project and let them move some installations located in Sandwich Town to Patterson Park. That's due to upcoming construction that may block the view. Hockey can be a tough sport, as many of us know. It's a constant fight for the puck. Maggie Matani knew all about that after playing her first year on the University of Windsor women's hockey team. But as the off-season started, she had another fight on her hands. She was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. Now, after a successful second season, she's thanking her teammates.
In February, I was sitting in my dressing room and we were just kind of listening to Coach talk, and I was feeling my neck, and then I felt like a little ball, and I was like, oh, that's weird. And then once Coach stopped talking, we went into the dry room and we were all talking about it, and everyone's like touching each other's necks, like, oh, is this normal? And then we were all kind of just like, oh, whatever, like, it doesn't matter. And then a few days later, one of my friends came up to me and she's like, hey, like, you know what, I think it's really weird. Like, I looked up your symptoms online and that's not normal.
So then I started searching up on Google, like, some symptoms, and I was just like reading about it. And it's like, if you have a bump on the front of your neck, like, you should go get checked out. So I told Maggie and I was like, I think you should go to the doctor. And she's like, really? Like, I don't think it's anything bad. And then I asked her a few days later and I was like, hey, did you go to the doctors yet? And she's like, no. And I'm like, no, like, you should really go.
I went home for the summer, so 3 days when I was home, I got a call from the doctor, or from the nurse actually, and she was like, oh, can you come in? And I'm like, no, I live in Winnipeg, I can't go to Windsor. And she's like, oh, I'll get the doctor to call you. He ended up calling me, and yeah, he told me that I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. My initial thought was like, why me? I feel like everybody has that thought. I'm young, I was 18 at the time, I was healthy relatively, I worked out every day. So it wasn't really anything that I did specifically, which was really hard for me to kind of grasp. The doctor reassured me though, he's like, it's not because of anything you did, you're just unlucky, you just had bad luck, and that was definitely tough to take in at the beginning. So it's kind of easy to brush off. If you don't have people who tell you to actually go to the doctor, then you most likely won't. So it's good that you have those people.
I'm kind of like glad like I said something, like kind of pressure her to go. Like, I don't know, like it's kind of weird to think that if I didn't say that, like how things would have turned out, I guess, because she would have never gone.
If you see something, definitely go to the doctor. Even if you don't think that it's anything serious, you never know. And if it's not anything serious, you're not missing out.
This is Maya McHale of Windsor receiving a major honor just last week. The 18-year-old received the Ontario Medal for Young Volunteers from the Lieutenant Governor for her charitable work. Some of you might even remember McHale. She started a lemonade stand in our community 10 years ago at the age of 8, raising money for others in need. Now she's going to the University of Windsor for behavior and neuroscience. She's in 11 clubs at school, one of them called Students Supporting Seniors, continuing to help people in our community. It's an unusual controversy at Queen's Park, all about allowing some female politicians to speak about International Women's Day. The government initially denied the request yesterday from independent MPPs. Today, they've changed their mind. Queen's Park reporter Lorenda Redekop takes us through what happened.
Mr. Speaker, I seek unanimous consent.
It all started yesterday, right after question period, with this request.
5 minutes be allotted to the independent members as a group to respond to the ministerial statement tomorrow on International Women's Day.
But everyone in the House had to be in favor.
Agreed? No. I heard a no.
Then a government member stood up.
I would just like to remind all the women in the House that tomorrow, after question period, we will be taking a photo for International Women's Day here in the chambers. Thanks.
Today, independent women MPPs held a news conference furious.
Telling us that we can't speak on International Women's Day and then right after inviting us for a photo is the equivalent of telling us, be pretty and shut up.
The independents include the Liberals and Greens, since they don't have official party status. The person who called out no yesterday was Government House Leader Paul Calandra. His reasoning?
Every unanimous consent motion that I am not aware of, I will say no to. I was not approached either after.
Lucille Collard says her party did reach out. And an email sent last Friday by a staffer shows someone from the Liberals alerted a member of Calandra's office, as well as 2 NDP staffers, of unanimous consent motions to come, including that one. One Liberal MPP says after saying no, Calandra also seemed to be mocking them.
Crying, teary eyes, and then he opened up his desk and handed a box of tissues. It was absolutely deplorable, demeaning, and disgraceful.
Calandra says the fake crying was a joke directed at Liberal John Fraser.
It had nothing to do on that motion. Mr. Fraser and I often joke back and forth on any number of issues.
That's not how the Liberals took it.
When he said no, I just said like literally, I didn't say anything. I just why did you do it?
Today, another attempt for speaking time.
Agreed? Agreed.
And this afternoon, that speaking time happened, but with a message for the women on the government side.
I sincerely hope you felt our pain and raised your voices to the men who stood in our way.
This mini scandal added politics to speeches that likely wouldn't have been political. Lorenda Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
We've got a date for Ontario's Budget Day. The Finance Minister will present the province's budget on March 26. Today, the minister said the government will continue to focus on making life a little bit more affordable for people and for businesses. Last month, the minister projected Ontario would end the year with a $4.5 billion deficit. Lovely evening out there tonight. Lots of sun, and those temperatures are still in the double digits. Your weather forecast coming up after the break. We've seen such nice warm weather, which makes perfect conditions to do some flying. These pictures here were taken by Rich Burford. He's a private pilot out of Windsor, and he passed these gorgeous pictures along on the construction of the Gordie Howe Bridge. Really puts into perspective how far along this project is, and perhaps gives you some appreciation being able to connect two massive pieces of infrastructure in the middle of the river. Burford did take these last week during that real warm weather, that sunlight really making those colors pop there. Colette, what a view those pilots get. And today would have been a nice one to be in the sky sightseeing, I'm thinking.
Yeah, you're right. Visibility, very good for kilometers and kilometers. Yeah, some really nice conditions. I know it took some time to get some of that clearing, but things looking good. However, Meg, we do have a system on our doorstep that's going to probably interfere with some of your weekend plans, folks. So let's work you through things. I know day after day I talk about, temperatures above seasonal again because of this being such a mild winter. So let's just check what those numbers are for us for Windsor. A normal high 5 degrees, a normal low of -4. And for today, double digits, over 10 degrees, a little bit. And our low there, we could round that up to 4 degrees. So we do have some cooler air that will come in on the second half of the weekend. But for now, those readings are still looking pretty good. It's a decent evening on our hands. Of course, more cloud cover rolling in as this X system approaches, and we'll see those winds shifting direction as well. And Environment Canada has issued a special weather statement, and this is mostly going to be for southwestern Ontario Friday night and early Saturday. A lot of it falls kind of through that overnight period, but 20 to 40 millimeters of rain. I'm going to hone in on that in a moment, and you'll see some more detail. But here we go. So just seeing some increase in cloudiness. Otherwise, we have a quiet night. And I do want to compare and contrast that to what is happening in Atlantic Canada, because this system, just such a mix into the Maritimes. But I'm thinking of friends, family in Newfoundland, St. John's especially, may end up with more than 50 centimeters of snowfall. So maybe we get a few wet flurries. I think we can manage that, right? So the system we need to focus on is here. So affecting the Midwest, the Southern Plains, a lot of active weather. You see all the lightning strikes there, and there's some of that snowfall, so some cooler air on the back side of this. Now let's go back in again, play this forward and build things up. So tomorrow morning, we have those clouds kind of thickening up, could have still some sunny breaks. Into the afternoon, the rain develops, so will be some heavier pockets. Once it comes in, we keep this into the evening and overnight hours, and then early Saturday. Now, there are going to be more waves of moisture to this, but I think we're going to fare okay. That the bulk of it's over by Saturday morning, and a lot of it is to the east. Those next waves will just kind of track to the east, so not necessarily tagging back through Sarnia or Windsor or through this region. Some of that cool air, likely to bring some of the wet flurries our way. Rainfall accumulations, there are some cases where it could be over that 40 millimeters, and looking at St. Thomas, I'm talking to you, maybe closer to 50 millimeters of rainfall. So overnight tonight, 3 degrees. Now again, could be some sunny breaks tomorrow morning still, even though the cloud deck will be moving in. 5 degrees in the morning with that easterly breeze kind of picking up at times. 12 into the afternoon, but the rain does begin. It carries on the heaviest stuff Friday night into Saturday. So just be aware that rain icon I have on there on Saturday, we may see mostly just kind of clouds after the main system goes through, but a chance for a little bit of a light mix Saturday night and a chance for some wet flurries there into Sunday. Put your clocks ahead. Don't forget that. And look at next week.
Well, Colette, as you know, I used to live in St. John's, and I've been talking with some of my friends, and they are so sick of, so much snow. So I don't exchange forecasts with them at all. I don't mention what we are getting over here.
Yeah, I had the great pleasure. I only got 3 weeks there, but forecasting and doing the weather there for our CBC station, and I loved every minute of it. But yeah, they always say, right, they have one month of summer, and it's June, so.
That is the truth.
Winter carries on.
Yes, extremely turbulent over there. Thanks so much for that, Colette.
Yeah.
Coming up, a journey around the world on a sailboat. We have those details. Stay tuned. A mother, her 4 young children, and a family friend are dead after an attack in a townhouse in an Ottawa suburb. The oldest child was just 7 years old, and the youngest was less than 3 months old. A 19-year-old man is now facing first-degree murder and attempted murder charges. Nicole Williams has more.
A normally quiet suburban neighborhood in the city's south end, now dealing with a nightmare.
I saw a guy was sitting on the driveway and yelling, and so the police came, and then they took him away. And then after that, so many police cars and ambulances were around. 25 police cars were there.
Police found 6 people dead in this townhouse just before 11 last night. Newcomers to Canada, all from Sri Lanka. 35-year-old Darshani Delanthaka Aikanayake and her 4 young children, all between the ages of 7 and just 2 months old.
This one will undoubtedly weigh on the hearts of everyone for a long time.
The other victim, a 40-year-old man living with the family. The only survivor, Aikanayake's husband, who went to hospital with injuries. He's in serious but stable condition.
I can only imagine how difficult it is to witness such a terrible tragedy, and our emergency personnel deserve our support and gratitude for their work.
Police quickly arrested 19-year-old Fabrio De Zoisa, who appeared in court this afternoon, charged with 6 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of attempted murder. Police say he was an international student, new to Canada, also from Sri Lanka, living with the family. Police say he used an edged weapon to kill the victims.
Our investigators and forensic teams are working very hard to determine all of the facts and ensure justice is done.
As the investigation continues, the community now coming to grips with the horror of what happened.
I'm obviously in shock, and I can't explain it. It's tough.
Did you know them?
No, I didn't, but I'm seeing it, seeing the guys in their white suits and everything. It's more real now.
A memorial has been set up nearby so that neighbors can pay their respects. Police are asking people to stay away from the scene while they conduct their investigation. Nicole Williams, CBC News, Ottawa.
A 29-year-old New York woman has sailed her way into the record book. She's the first American woman to race solo and nonstop around the world. Family and friends welcomed Cole Brower back to dry land in Spain yesterday. She sailed out from the same port 130 days ago to circumnavigate the globe on her 12-meter sailboat. While approaching Cape Horn, Brower hurt her ribs. Despite the injuries, she managed to make the necessary repairs and continue sailing. Brower was the only woman and the youngest in the event, racing against 15 competitors. Well, that's it for CBC Windsor News. Don't forget, for news anytime, you can go to our website at cbc.ca/Windsor. You can also download the CBC News app for stories that matter most to you. And don't forget to watch The National tonight at 9 on CBC News Network, 10 p.m. on CBC News app, CBC TV, and streaming on CBC Gem and CBC Explore. Thanks so much for tuning in. Looking forward to seeing you back here tomorrow night.